So I'm Dave Weiss, and I'm going to take the reverb off for a second. That's going to help. If this is, hello, check one. I think you can hear me a little better now. What I'm going to be playing is a few different pieces. It's actually 4 fairly short pieces, actually 3 short pieces and 1 very short piece. And the first one, I picked up the wrong flute right away. Oops. I've gotten into Kingma flutes big time over the last 10 years. This is a Kingma Open-Hole Alto, which is a little unusual. And just talk about it briefly. Just like on a classic French model, on a C flute, you have the open holes on the 3 larger fingers, or actually not on the index finger, but on the left hand. But what's interesting is there's much less weight on the instrument because there's less mechanism. And that's one of the things that attracted me to it right away. And then after that, the sound of the instrument is spectacular and you can slip and slide a lot more. So I had to pick one up. So now I'm also using what's called a Matusi head joint, and that's this attachment over here, which is kind of, it's a buzziness and a richness to the sound. It's very similar in design, or at least in concept, to a lot of Asian flutes where they have a membrane that goes along with it. So, and that's also made by David Kerkhof. I might be pronouncing his name wrong, but he's also Dutch, like Ava Kingma, and they worked together, and then they came up with the design, and then he's making them himself these days. So he actually puts these on any sort of head joint you want. If you got a spare head joint, you just send it to him and he puts it on, which is actually pretty cool. And I got it on this, and I got it on the C flute, and I actually have it on the contra, but I won't be playing that on the contra today. So anyway, so this one piece, this was kind of inspired by East Indian kind of trance music, you know, and there's a lot of tablas, and there's a lot of drones and stuff like that. I like to play over drones a lot. It gives me a lot of freedom to do what I like to do. So this is a fairly quick piece, maybe 5 or 6 minutes, and you'll hear the Matusi head on one channel, hopefully the left channel. Is that the left? No, that's the left channel. It depends which way you're looking at it. And then it's pre-recorded me on the other flute channel, so it goes back and forth. And that's the regular alto flute. That's actually my other Kingma alto flute, which does not have open holes or anything, so that's more classic. So let's see if I get this going correctly, and away we go. next one, I'm not going to use the computer or sound system. And I actually wasn't reading the last one at all, and that's why I wanted to get the music out of my face, so to speak. But I'm just reviewing this old song. I wanted to play something on the C flute and with the Matusi Headjoint. And one of the things I like about it is it's a little, maybe I should talk on the microphone. Sorry. You know, it's a little like, boy, is that echoey. That's too echoey. That's set up for the next song, which is very, very ambient. Hold on one second. Let me see, where's that? It's the reverbs. Is it over there? Yeah, that's it. So, this should help. I think this helps a little bit. So, okay, so it can evoke like something Asian, but also there's something about it that I've used for various projects where it's almost like bagpipes. And a lot of people think of bagpipes just like the big Scottish bagpipes, what really called the war pipes or the Highland pipes and stuff. There's bagpipes all over the world in all sorts of different cultures. And the Spanish have an amazing tradition. There's traditions in Hungary, all through Europe and Asia, the Middle East, you know, and they all sound different. They're all really cool, and they all have some sort of buzziness going along with them. So that's what got me on this thing. And I'm going to do a real quick tune here just by itself. This is a Celtic tune. I think it's Irish. Maids of Mitchelstown, or Mitchelstown, but they say Mitchelstown. And I think the first part, I learned it from a band called the Bothy Band, which is a very well-known, one of the first kind of superstar Irish bands, maybe from the 70s or 80s or something like that. And it's interesting is that there's an A and a B to this song. And the B part, if you look up in all the collections of Irish music, well, that's what they say the song is. And I don't see any written part for the A part. So they might have actually written that themselves and put it on this and they say it Maids of Mitchelstown. But I think the B part is just the song. So yak, 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 I'm going to shut up and play. That's what my mom would say, Dave, shut up and play. So. So you know, this is actually a Levit flute, and but the head joint with the attachment is not a Levit head joint. It's a pearl head joint, and that's what the two heads that I have for the alto. It's actually a pearl and with you know, these attachments put on it. I do have the attachment on the bass, but that's actually the original Kingma head on there. But I'm not going to play that today, so because it's taking me too much time to learn how to do it. It actually is pretty cool. It definitely sounds like bagpipes. So so that was that. I'm going to move on to this the contra right now. So this baby, ContraBass flute, check 1, check 2. I'll put the ambience on in a second. So this is 2 octaves below a regular flute. You're getting it down into bass clarinet range and probably bassoon range too. I find that I got to be kind of gentle on it, and then it actually really opens up. It's really something else. And I've only had it about a year. I'm still figuring it out as I go, you know, but it's really quite the instrument. And I wrote this piece called Land's End, which has a lot of synthesizer beds and stuff in which I'm playing off of. And it's a very ambient piece. It reminds me of music that I grew up with, like Pink Floyd and Brian Eno, which is, you know, very spacey sort of music. And this just kind of fit right in. So anyway, this is called Land's End. It's kind of like, you know, we're looking out and we're seeing the whales and the seals and stuff like that. That's what I'm trying to get on with this piece here. And I got to put the headphones on. Okay, let's see here. a little better, right? And there's still reverb. Oh, I see what I did. That'll take care of it. Okay, now we're normal again. So as you can see, I like echo a lot, you know. So someone told me a very funny story. I was dealing with some musicians from Nashville, and they say one of the old singers like Chet Atkins or something. He would say, "Oh, it sounds bad. Throw a little talent on there for me," which they refer to reverb as talent. So, but I just kind of like ambient music, and what this is a collection of pieces I'm doing at the Flute Convention in August. And these are all kind of roots music to me. It's like how I got into world music was studying like Indian music and Japanese music, but also there's a correlation between a lot of the ambient music and those traditions. You know, especially a lot of the people here were hearing me warm up, and it's just very Zen. Well, I was studying shakuhachi for many years, which is very closely related with Zen Buddhism, and I just like the music like that. So now. This piece is a little different, and this one I call Loft Jazz 1978, and it's kind of commemorative and a memorabilia for me, because though I've lived in New York almost my entire life, I moved into a loft when I was something like 19 years old in Chelsea, not far from here at all, in the Flute Center. I was on 28th Street, this was on 18th Street, and I lived there for 20 years. And one of the things that was going on in New York at that time was the called Loft Jazz movement, which is a very avant-garde, very adventurous sort of music. It's kind of like the jazz counterpart to the European avant-garde, like Stockhausen and things like that. It was almost anything goes, and it was really exciting. And I was in high school at the time, and I was just soaking all this stuff in. Probably the finest flute player to come out of that is James Newton, who I'm happy to say is still alive. I've never met him, but it was he was something else, you know. And I'm all of, 16, 18, just soaking this in. I'm playing, Anderson etudes and excerpts and Daphnis by day, and at night I'm hanging out in clubs down on Green Street and down in Lower East Side, like Studio Rivby and the Ladies Ford and Ali's Alley was the place I went to a lot, which is Rashid Ali's place, who was the drummer for John Coltrane on a remarkable album called Interstellar Space. So I got to meet all these guys and hang out. And so I wrote this piece called Loft Jazz 1978 because it was, at the time, it really expanded my improvisations. I was studying a lot of jazz at the time, but it took me into the new directions that were kind of pointed out by Ornette Coleman and Cecil Taylor early on in the 50s and the early 60s. This is now the later 70s, and these guys were really going out in some places. But it was also very blues-based, too. That was what was really interesting about it. It wasn't just all avant-garde. There was some, it was coming out of their tradition, which I really liked a lot. Now, I actually got to follow the music on this, believe it or not. And it's a lot of electronics. It's not a long piece. It's probably like the other one's 4 or 5 minutes. See, you're at a contemporary flute concert when like the music starts going flying out, and you have like 9 stands, and stuff like that. And what I liked about this piece was I was able to really dig in on the contra and play it at times almost like a saxophone and just really blow a lot into it. Unlike the other piece that I just did, which was fairly contemplative and meditative. This I can like and go for it. And I really like how I can get like really gutsy stuff out of the low end on this piece, so because I'm not looking for a beautiful sound or anything like that. I'm looking for something that's something quite different. So anyway, so let me cue this up, see where we are. Okay. Loft Jazz, 1978. I appreciate you indulging my weirdness. So that's it. That's all I prepared for this. And I guess maybe in and out quick is kind of good, you know. So, but any questions about these things?
That pickup that you have in the flute, is that permanently attached?
Well, believe it or not, this is not a pickup. These are two rings for this Matusi membrane thing here. So, and they are permanently attached. And you can, I think I can get this working. You can get a little idea what it is. I adjusted it so it wouldn't go off while I was playing before because I didn't think it fit that piece. That's kind of what it does. And I did use this on a video game where they were looking for like some alien armies with bagpipes. So we used this as the drones, you know. It was like, I think I would have low E and a B or something. With lots of echo and stuff, you know.
So that's the same that you have on the C flute where you got that buzzing sound.
Right,
so
yeah.
That's similar to the Chinese DZ flute.
Exactly, yeah. It's the same concept to begin with. But this is a little more elaborate in that it's got this, it is permanently fixed to the head joint, or in this case, you know, I guess some part of the head joint on this one. And that's why for both the alto and my concert flute, I have alternate heads. I have my standard head that I use, and then one that's dedicated to that, because you just can't take it on and off, you know. So, and I've found use of it. You know, I'm using it in my work in the recording studio for films and stuff, and so it's fun. You know, it's something a little different. You know, so I'm glad you liked it. Anything else? No.
I thought it was really interesting your use of the key slaps, the percussiveness.
Thank you. So you could hear that out there. I was
Yeah.
concerned, you know, because
it was repeating that phrase, and then you kind of brought back into the breath.
right, yeah, that's. You know, I made a music video out of that piece, so you can go on my website and you can see it. It's called Land's End, and it's a funny little story because we shot the video. It's actually not a full video. It's now wait a second. Is that Land's End is up, but that piece is not. I haven't finished editing that. I have a copy of it. Actually, I sent it to Ava Kingma. I said, do you want to use this as promotion? She says, this is too scary. We can't use it. Because we shot it in this, like it's a studio out in Brooklyn, in Gowanus. It's actually very close to me. I live in Park Slope, and you go right across 4th Avenue, you're in Gowanus. And this is a studio on 3rd Street and 3rd Avenue. It's called the American Can Factory, and it's the basement, and it's like an old storage facility, but I mean, it's just got stone walls, and it looks like, you know, it looks pretty gnarly, you know. And the name of the recording studio is Seizure's Palace. which is, it just goes with it. It's an old rock and roll studio, you know. So we shot this kind of weird video. You know. I hope to get it done in the next month or two, and like with the footage I got, it's just been it was difficult to cut to it, so. But yeah, and that motif you talk about, I use that a lot with some interesting footage. So you can go to my site and see some other stuff that's there, and maybe I'll let you know when that one is up. Yeah, that's a fun thing to do with the key claps, and then slowly I just brought my breath closer and closer to the instrument, and it starts taking shape, you know, with the tone and everything like that. So thanks
Yeah,
for
that's
listening.
great.
Yeah.
I mean, another thing that you may have kind of already talked about this, but I'm just interested to hear your thought on it. Talking about world music and, you know, specifically the Japanese, the shakuhachi, that meditativeness of it, the ambient music. I know some of the Japanese music. I'm actually preparing working on a Ryu techie for this weekend.
Oh, cool.
But it's very like ritualistic, like the use of the instrument.
Yeah.
Do you pull more like, you know, kind of a spiritual ritualistic aspect to some of the stuff that you're writing with that world?
Oh, well, it's definitely influenced by that, because I spent a lot of time with that type of music. And actually, look, I was studying Zen Buddhism for a while, like in my 20s into my 30s, even probably going back to high school and stuff, and sitting and meditating and, like, you know, learning to do absolutely nothing, which is, it's just, you know, I think the world needs a lot more of that. You know, it's like, you know what, it's not so important. Chill out, man. Chill out, you know. So I know that the instrument is used by certain sects to, I think is it the Fuke, F-U-K-E, and as one of my teachers was showing me, that they literally are sitting there playing like, you know, they're not even trying to like play any pieces. It's like the use of the breath in that sort of way really can calm the mind and calm the spirit, and it's an exercise for them, you know. So being exposed to that for so long, it's definitely made its way into my music, and the use of like the wind sound. I think is it called thrashing breath or something like that, where you do stuff like that sort of stuff, you know. I even incorporated that into Lion King, you know, where I helped write the flute book for that, and there is one moment where the king Mufasa, the tragic king who will end up getting murdered, is teaching his son Simba that like the sky is filled with the stars of all your ancestors, all the previous Lion Kings, and they make a very like a ritual gesture right at the end of the song as the music's fading back, and I brought in this sort of like. I'm not playing what I usually play. That's on the wood alto flute. But I did that sound for like the orchestrators and the composers, and they were like, "Yo, we got to find a place for that, because that's it, you know." And it's amazing how that sound can really be very expressive in so many ways. Morakai, is that the name of it? Moraki? I'd have to look it up. I forgot. I'm a little bit removed from studying that stuff, so I forget the specific terms. But it's an actual technique, you know, to learn how to do that thrashing sound.
Well, thank you. It was extremely powerful and fun to listen to.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's great. That's like 2 hours of setup for 10 minutes of music.
And the first piece that you played on alto flute,
Yeah.
very inspiring. I have small hands, so I'm struggling with that low E bass Bonzeri flute.
Yeah.
It never occurred to me that I could do that on alto flute or bass flute.
Yeah, you want to try the keyless, this, because you might find it's even easier on your stretch. You know, if you want to.
No, but I play alto and bass flute.
Oh, regular alto flute.
Yeah, regular. But I've been struggling with the low E bass Bonzeri. You know, I
Yeah.
have small hands, so it never occurred to me just to maybe take what I'm searching for to try it on my conventional alto.
Oh,
bass
sure.
flute.
It totally works. You know, it's like, you know, it's just it sounds a little different, but
No, but the way you had it, if I wasn't looking at you, I think it might have been the Indian bamboo flute.
Wow, thank you. That is a compliment. Wow. You know. Well, thanks a lot, guys. You know, it's, I appreciate it. Okay. Thanks a lot.